Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be talking about the problem of top tier premiums. Now, this is not really a gameplay video, so if you guys want to play this in the background of playing War Thunder or whatever game, you could do that. You don't really have to look at the footage, but I do have it here just in case. Now, today we'll be talking about top tier premiums, and there's a little bit of a problem that Gaijin has been, I guess, sort of putting off, but eventually we're going to reach a point to where it's going to blow up in our faces. It's inevitable, right? Now, tell me in the comments down below what top tier premiums or event vehicles you think Gaijin could add in the future. Personally, I think the F-117 could potentially be a top tier event vehicle. That, I mean, it only gets 2 GBUs, right? But yeah, tell me what you guys think about that in the comments down below. So today we will talk about first things first, top tier premiums, right? We have a lot of them in game currently. While they're not exactly top tier, so you know, the F-20 is 12.0, the Indian MiG-21 BIS is, I believe, 11.7, right? That's not exactly 13.0. And in the past, Gaijin stated they never add a top tier premium, which theoretically they really haven't, I guess. But you know, people consider they call the F-20 top tier, even though it's really not. But the problem is, what missiles do you put on these jets, right? I mean, the F-20 should be able to carry AIM-120. The Indian MiG-21 BIS should be able to carry the R-77, right? Well, how do you balance this, right? Because eventually they will probably get their Fox 3 missiles when we have more advanced aircraft, such as the later models of, you know, the Eurofighter, or if we have a Rafale or Su-35, right? Once we get those later models of aircraft, Gaijin can slowly implement, you know, AIM-120s to the F-20 and R-77s to the MiG-21 BIS. But as of now, though, I mean, do you guys even agree with that? Do you want those new premiums to have Fox 3 missiles or have advanced avionics? Or essentially, let's say there's some obscure flanker variant, right? Maybe even the Terminator. If they made the Terminator a premium down the line, would you guys be fine with that? Personally, I think it's okay. It depends on what the loadout is, but essentially you'll be able to just buy into top tier, and that's kind of what you're able to do now with the F-20 and the MiG-21 BIS. Of course, you do have to farm the tech tree, but Gaijin is going to eventually add more modern jets to the premium tech tree. That's sort of been the trend, right? F-86 Sabres, or at least when the F-100 was top tier, right? We had the F-86 premium, and I believe it was the MiG-15, right? Those were premiums. Those jets used to be considered the top of the dog, the F-86 and the MiG-15, well, MiG-17, but still, you get the point. It's sort of a trend that Gaijin has been doing. They'll add new jets. We'll have, let's say we get an Su-35, so we get a crappy flanker variant as a premium, and it's the same thing with the T-80s as event vehicles and squadron vehicles and whatnot. Eventually, it will reach a point to where we get a jet that is meant to fly with Fox 3 missiles or advanced missiles. That's a premium. It's just going to happen. Gaijin makes money off the premiums. They make probably a decent amount, and then of course that and premium account and Golden Eagles. But premium vehicles, they make a good amount of money on them, and I don't even have to see a statistic to know that. The only reason I know is because Gaijin keeps making premiums. That's the only way, you know, I know that they're actually making money off of them. So it only makes sense that in the future we'll see a premium that's like an F-18 or something. Speaking of the F-18, actually, there is a variant, and I can't remember the name of it. Put in the comments down below. But someone actually commented on my video about this F-18 variant, and it's a variant that doesn't carry certain radar missiles, right? So you're pretty much stuck with infrared missiles on an F-18 airframe, which basically is, I'm not going to say it's useless, but that's perfect premium / event vehicle territory right there. I mean, you could just throw it in. And I don't know if people are going to get necessarily mad or happy about it. Personally, I think it's fine because it's the trend Gaijin's been doing for a while. But There are some players who are like, oh, well, I could grind up the whole tech tree and this guy could just buy an F18 right off the bat. I mean, that was the same problem with the premiums in the past. Another problem is premiums could potentially take tech tree spots, right? So the F20, that's a jet a lot of people want it, but not necessarily everyone wants to pay $70 for it. And again, like I stated early in the video, even if they did add the F117 as a premium, people would still be like, hey, I don't want to buy an F117, I just want to farm it. And you won't be able to do that because there's only, I believe, one variant of the F117. So if it's a premium, you can't put it in the tech tree. Unless Gaijin did that, which I don't know how people would even react to that. Vehicles that are also premiums and in the tech tree, who knows? But yeah, that's a problem with the F20 right now. It's like, oh, some people want to actually get the jet. It's 12.0, has the airframe of an F16 basically, and carries a ton of 9Ls. It's a pretty decent jet, but you can only get it by paying $70. So a lot of these niche jets that Gaijin adds as top tier premiums will be pretty much unobtainable unless you buy it, which they'll likely be like $70, right? I think a lot of players would actually get pretty mad about that. Not only that, but premiums kind of ruin, well, I don't want to say ruin win rates, but they change win rates, right? So if your team has a bunch of F4Ss, right? That's the premium one, and all of them keep dying. We all know how S4S players play. They're not the best, right? They're either bombing bases or getting killed in dogfights, and then they just call the aircraft bad, and they're like, man, I shouldn't have bought this, right? That's because they didn't evolve any tactics with the plane, because that's their first jet, right? An F4S, and they're level 5, they just say, oh, the plane's bad, right? And then of course your teammates, if you're flying like I don't know, what's the same beer, let's just say for an example, you're flying something at the same beer as the F4S, and your whole team's flying those and they all die because they're all not skillful, then you're gonna lose. Because it doesn't matter if the enemy team has more players, you're gonna lose in an RB match, and that tends to happen with premiums. So if you're adding more premiums to top tier, you get those less skillful players, and it just messes things up, screws people's stats up, all that fun stuff. No one likes that, especially if you farm to the top of the tree to get this sort of jet that you really wanted, yet it flies horribly because your whole team dies and you're the last one alive. So that's kind of a problem that's happening now, and it's only going to continue with top tier premiums. So we'll see what Gaijin does. Tell me in the comments down below if you guys have any like solutions to this. Personally, I think if I had to just get a solution off the top of my head, I would say lock the premiums behind a wall unless you had a certain tier with your account. Obviously, Gaijin wouldn't do that because, again, premiums make money, and at the end of the day, they're kind of a necessary evil, right? I mean, if you want Gaijin to stay afloat and the company to actually keep going, and you want your account to actually matter, I guess, then Gaijin has to make revenue, and premiums are the main source, or one of the main sources of their revenue. But tell me in the comments down below what you guys think about this. I'm very eager to hear what you guys have to say. Other than that, take care, guys, and stay safe.